Good afternoon, everyone. We're very happy to have you here today. Today we have Mike Bishop, our Memphis-Shelby County consultant. If I could turn my camera on for this, our Memphis-Shelby County consultant, who will be talking about your SFA and site application packet in TMAC. You should be able to utilize the chat function, which is at the top of your screen. There's a little speech bubble that says chat, and you can send questions there if you have them. With that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Mike.
Great. Thank you, Randa. Thanks for helping out with these webinars so much. We appreciate you. Yep. And we appreciate all of those that are out there serving our students in Tennessee and providing nutritious meals to them, helping them learn. And I'm sure you're getting revved up and excited for the end of the school year. So let's give a big woohoo for that. And with that, we'll go ahead and start talking about the SFA application packet in TMAC. I'm Mike Bishop, school nutrition consultant in Shelby County in the Memphis metro area. Let's see here. And then here you see the Department of Education Commissioner's Best for All strategic plan with academic student readiness, and I think it's in front of the last one, and I don't have it memorized. I think it's educator support. Our mission statement for school nutrition in Tennessee is to develop extraordinary school nutrition professionals and provide strategies to increase consumption of healthy school meals. And here you can see the objectives for our training today. Help you enter enrollment, attendance, and identified student data in your community eligibility provision site list. Complete your SFA application packet, and then complete your school nutrition program site applications. Now, we did have some training previously on the seamless summer option site applications, so we're not going to go into those, just the school nutrition program site applications for next school year. But if you do need assistance with those, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, Randa, or your regional consultant. So here you'll see the website address for your SFA application packet. You can also find that on our S&P Resources website. I believe it's on the splash page for that in the upper right-hand corner to log into TMAC. All right. And I am going to have some notes in front of me for this, so just to let you know, I may look up, look down, all around, but we just want to make sure that you have the best information possible here. So once you do log in, if you'll click on applications, okay, in the upper right hand by your little house top, this is what it should show. I know it says school year 22-23 there, but it really hadn't changed. And TMAC will default as of, I believe, Friday afternoon. It will default now to the new school year. So when you log in, it's going to default to school year 23-24. That's important to remember because your seamless summer option site applications are actually, you need to do those in the school year 22-23 application packet. So if you're going to be doing seamless summer option and you're going to be doing this new school year application packet, you're going to be working over a period of 2 school years. So I think that's important to remember. There is an order of operations, and I'm going to approach this order of operations from the perspective of a community eligibility provision district. And Weakley County, wonderful Trista Snyder in Weakley County has allowed us to go ahead and use their district as in our test site to show this in real time. So it won't affect anything in their application packet because it is in a test or a mirror site that TMAC provides for us. But just want to thank Trista for that. So you'll see the order here. If you're CEP, number 1 is you'll go down there and click on Community Eligibility Provision to open up your Community Eligibility Provision site list. Okay, so that's where we'll start. Number two, after you've completed that, then you'll do your application packet and enroll in the new application packet for the new school year. So remember, step one is the community eligibility provision site list that's actually outside of the application packet. Step two is the application packet itself. And so, let's see. All right. So I'm going to go out of that and I'm going to go ahead and go into and show you the steps in this application packet in real time. So you should be able to see now TMAC. It won't look exactly as it would be from your point of view as the SFA, but it's pretty close. You're going to click on applications. And then remember, we're going to go ahead and do this from the community eligibility provision standpoint first. You'll go to community eligibility provision right here, and that will open up your community eligibility provision or CEP site list. What you're going to do is add where it says school year 22-23. Now don't let that hang you up. That school year is your data year. So you're actually adding data as of this school year to determine your eligibility for CEP for next school year. So we're going to go ahead and do add. And then here you see the community eligibility provision site eligibility or site list. So here you're going to enter your enrollment or attendance and the number of identified students as of the most recent April 1st, or in the case of this year, the last operating day in March, since April 1st falls on a weekend. But if April 1st falls on a weekend or a school holiday, then it would be the last operating day before that. All schools in the SFA must use the same date for that data. Now, attendance or enrollment, you heard me say. Attendance can be used instead of enrollment because USDA defines enrollment as enrolled and attending. And it's usually in your best interest to use attendance. Just make sure that you can pull reports that can back up that data. So you'll see here we have, for all schools, we have data entry. And you're going to enter the number of identified students, which is the number of students that are directly certified for free meal benefits as of the last operating day of March. You should have those split up, and you should be able to tell whether those were, we found them on the direct certification list for SNAP or TANF, or whether you found them on the foster list, or whether they were migrant, homeless, or runaway. Foster, migrant, homeless, runaway, or if they were TANF on the SNAP TANF list, would be categorized as DC other. And so we do want you to split those out here. All right. Now, for our purposes, I'm just going to use one column and use SNAP, and I'm going to do some easy math here. And I'm going to say that we're going to be well qualified, and we found 60 out of 100. All right. 60 out of 100. And I'm not going to do this for all sites, but we'll go ahead and put that in there. Okay. So you can see as I populated those, it says that yes, those are eligible. Minimum eligibility with an ISP of, your minimum eligibility would be an ISP of 40%. And so I just went ahead and used 60. That gives you really pretty close to all of your meals being claimed at the free claiming rate. So that's what you'll do. You complete that whole thing and then save it. All right, so I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm not going to do all of those sites. We're going to go ahead and save that. Of course, it's going to give me a warning that I haven't entered data for all my sites. All right. You want to enter data for all your sites, okay? Enter data for all of your sites, even if they're closing, because that data, this year's data, is what makes you eligible for next year, okay? Now we can take care of those those. And well, and we don't need to take care of those closing sites. It's okay if they import into your CEP schedule, because they won't affect your ISP. So with that, we're going to go ahead and go into the application. And we will talk about adding new sites too, because that happens too. Sometimes, depending on the school district, you might have sites that are closing. You might have a site that closes, but site A closes and their enrollment goes to site B. You know, there are all kinds of scenarios. Or the SFA brings on maybe a charter school that was its own SFA, independent SFA the year before. They're bringing it, or this year, and they're bringing them on next year as a site. So there are some of those scenarios too. All right, so we've entered our data in the community eligibility provision site list. So here's where our non-CEP sites can kind of pick up and run with us. I'm going to go back to applications and then application packet. Now this is going to look a little bit different on your end. I believe when you click on application packet on your end, it actually lists like the most recent years of application packets that you can open up. And if that's the way it looks like, then you'll do the one for 23-24 and it'll ask you to enroll. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and enroll. Yes, I want to continue. And it's spinning, working. Okay. Here we are. This is the 2023-2024 application packet. And you'll see that it's different. It's broken up into their various sections here. All right, so what you'll do next is the top part here that says SFA application. Now, we're not going to start at the top and work our way down. The order of operations is going to have us kind of jump around in this thing. But we're going to go ahead and do our SFA application, and you'll do modify. You should only have view or modify on your end. So we'll do modify. Now this brings in, unless you're a brand new SFA, this brings in what you had in your 22-23 application packet. It just brings it into this one. And so what you want to do is go through that and make sure that it's accurate. If anything has changed, go ahead and make those changes. Make sure that your zip code is the 9-digit zip code. Okay, we want that full 9. We have to have that full 9-digit zip code. And then if you've had any changes in your school leadership, in your school nutrition supervisor leadership, et cetera, you can go ahead and make those changes once you get into this packet. So for those that are going to operate the community eligibility provision in number 827 here under eligibility information, you will choose yes. All right, so that's your CEP part of your CEP election. In 828 and 29, all SFAs have to do 828 and 29 and make a decision and check one of those options, even if you're a CEP district. And so I recommend that the community eligibility provision SFAs go ahead and answer those as if they were going to use free and reduced meal applications in order to establish student eligibility versus CEP. So if you were going to operate doing free and reduced meal applications, that's how you would answer those two questions. All right. You'll scroll on down, you'll answer questions about your approval system or free and reduced meal applications. And again, this question is really directed to those that are doing free and reduced meal applications, but it could also be for CEP districts. If you're importing the DC list, or exporting the DC list into your nutrition software, then it would certainly apply in that way. But also, it really does apply for CEP, even if you're pulling down that DC list and matching that to your enrollment by hand. So you would choose manual in that case. And then if you are using nutrition software, go ahead and enter the vendor. A31 is for residential childcare institutions only, RCCIs. In my area, it would be like youth villages, Porter Leaf, Youth Town, etc. And then the next section is for those that are operating with a food service management company. So you would only answer those questions if you're operating with a food service management company. The next section is only for those that are operating vended meals, and vended meals would be a vended meal company just brings a unitized meal and drops that off to be cooled or warm, just put it in a warmer and served like that. So they're not prepping those on site. The severe need lunch. It's kind of a misnomer. What this is an extra 2 cents that's added to your reimbursement based on whether or not 2 years prior you served 60% of all of your lunches that were served were free and reduced price. Okay, and that should populate automatically. If you do have any comments to enter here in A41, you can. There's a text box for you to do that. And then don't forget to check the certification box, read those paragraphs, and go ahead and certify those things. You have to check that in order for it to move forward, okay? And of course, you won't have an internal use section only down here. But I'm going to go ahead and just say that everything that Trista had entered previously is the same. I'll go ahead and certify. Of course, this doesn't have any effect on the her actual packet. And click save. Okay. Should get. Okay. Now I will say not submitted because I haven't submitted the packet yet. Okay, that's okay. So the next thing that you're going to do is your site applications. Whether you're CEP or not, the next thing you're going to do is site applications. So in the application packet, number 1 is the SFA application. Number 2 are the school nutrition program site applications. All right, and I believe I entered data for these top 3 here. So I'm going to click modify for Dresden Elementary and use that one as an example. So this is your school nutrition program site application for the next school year. Again, this pulls in from a previous site application. If you're a brand new SFA, let me go back out of here. I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to cancel this site application. You can add site applications right there. You see that where you would add a site application. Okay. And you click add new site. Now, if it's a brand new site, brand new school, you would go to that school would have a school number. You can find that in the Tennessee State School Directory. Department of Education has a school directory. You can get that school number. You can get that from your administrators. So you would put that site number in there that is in the school directory. And then you would put the site name that is in the school directory and choose whether it's going to operate SMP or SSO programs. If you believe that that site is eventually going to operate SSO, you can go ahead and check both of those. So you can also, if I wanted to make up a number here and a site name, I could. And so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Okay. And I'm just going to check that they're going to operate SMP. Okay, I think I've used that as a test number before, so let's do that. All right, and you'll select whatever you're going to operate. We're going to do National School Lunch, School Breakfast Program, and After School Snack Program. and it'll open up the site application and let me go ahead and put addresses. So we're just going to go ahead and complete this site application. It doesn't care whether it's actually a Weakley County or not. So, okay. I don't happen to know a whole lot of, well, I guess I could have used that one, but we're just going to move forward with this. Now, this severe need breakfast reimbursement, that'll populate if you have served lunches 2 years prior. Okay. And if you have, and 40% or more of those lunches were free and reduced price, then you would qualify for a severe need breakfast reimbursement, which is a little bit higher than the regular breakfast reimbursement. If you're a new site, that stuff will be zeros, okay? Because you haven't served lunches as an SFA 2 years prior. However, we can set a severe need breakfast reimbursement after you've operated for 3 months, and we can make that retroactive. So you would just need to put that on your calendar. After you've been operating for 3 months, contact your consultant so we can get that entered into your application packet. I'm going to go ahead and leave those blank for now. In number 6, you're going to select all of your grades. And again, for existing sites, this would come over. We're just going to be a K5 school. All right, the kitchen type, it asks you, how are you preparing those meals? You have various choices here. So we're just going to go ahead and do on-site prep, like a traditional, maybe kind of a traditional public elementary school would do. And then number 8 is your pricing section. Now, you do have drop downs for lunch, breakfast, and snack. If you are establishing eligibility with free and reduced meal applications, and finding students on the DC list also, but you're not operating provision schools, you're not operating CEP, you're not operating provision 2, then what you're going to do is choose pricing. You will need to put a paid student lunch price in there. The reduced price for a lunch will always be 40 cents by regulation. And then you need to go ahead and put an adult meal price in here according to your adult meal pricing, the adult meal pricing calculations, which are on our S&P resources website. But for a paid student, for a free and reduced school, this would be the paid student lunch price plus the per plate, plus the paid reimbursement, plus the per plate cost of commodities. So I can't remember what the paid reimbursement is. I'm ashamed to say, but I'm going to say we're going to go ahead and go with 42 cents is the per plate cost of commodities. So I'm just going to say like it's about 80 cents or so for the paid student reimbursement. So let's say 480 and 40. Let's just say 5 1/4. Okay. So for your breakfast, if it's universal breakfast, then universal free, okay, you would just do non-pricing. If it is, again, if it's a regular free and reduced applications and so on, and you're charging like a reduced price for your school breakfast and all that, then you choose pricing, and you'd go have your paid student price, which that's up to you. There's no paid lunch equity. There's no paid meal equity for breakfast. But I'm going to go ahead and say about $3. And then our reduced price for school breakfast is by regulation 30 cents and doesn't ever change. And then the adult price, sometimes folks will do a la carte for an adult price. And you can go and do 0 and go down to the comments and say, hey, we do adult breakfasts a la carte. All right, So now that's how a pricing program would enter this. But Weakley County is a community eligibility provision, SFA. So we're going to change that. We're going to go ahead and change that to non-pricing CEPs. Very important if you're a CEP district that you choose non-pricing CEP. And it's very important that if you're a non-pricing provision 2 district that you choose non-pricing provision 2. We're going to go with non-pricing CEP. You'll see that it wiped out my paid price and my reduced price. Still asked me to put in an adult price there. I'll go ahead here to breakfast, non-pricing CEP. And then my adult price for breakfast, I'm just going to go ahead and put $3, even though maybe I'm doing a la carte. So after school snack program. If you're operating after school snacks, you have a couple of options to do that, area eligible or non-area area eligible. If you're area eligible, it means that site is in the attendance area of a school where 50% or more of those students are receiving free and reduced price meal benefits. Non-area eligible means you're not in that attendance area. Area eligible, all of those snacks are provided free of charge, and they're all claimed at the free reimbursement rate for snacks. With non-area eligible, all those, you have to actually count those snacks by the eligibility of the student. So you're going to have free, reduced, and paid reimbursements and meal counting, just like you would for breakfast or lunch. But we're going to go ahead and say, since Weakley County is CEP, and this is usually the case, that those sites would be area eligible for snacks. So we're going to do non-pricing. And you still have to do an adult, well, there shouldn't be anything there, but an adult price for snacks. But if you're not doing snacks, then it's 0. Okay. All right. And most folks don't. There are no adult, they're not doing adult snacks. So check this out. If I go back up here to pricing, then you'll see this community eligibility provision section in the middle of your screen go away. Okay. So it's very important that you do choose, if you're a CEP, you choose that, because if it's a brand new site, you may enter identified student and enrollment data if it is available. If it is available. It is possible for a new site to have historical data when they operate it as their own SFA. Okay. It's also possible to have a brand new site that did not have any identified student or data or enrollment data this year. They're enrolling brand new enrollment for the fall, so that wouldn't be there. In that case, you'll leave these as zeros, and then you will contact your consultant to have the number of identified students in enrollment established and entered into the site application as when you have it. And we recommend that you operate for a full month before you're ready to establish that. That can be a little scary if you're a brand new site and you might be like, well, I'm not sure if I'll qualify. You need to be pretty sure that you're going to qualify. But I also recommend that you get training on free and reduced meal applications, that you are ready, to do that for the beginning of school, so that you have that eligibility established for those students in case it turns out that you're not able to operate CEP. So just some words of caution or what have you for brand new sites that don't have this data right now. All right. So, but we're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to go ahead and say we have it, just so I can put something in there. Number of identified students, I'm going to say, again, we're going to go with easy math and do 60 and 100. So now my identified student percentage is 60%, and the site qualifies. We go now to section A, and we do we check the months that we're going to operate. These are months where you're going to operate and claim meals for those months. Now you might be a year-round school and you could check all right, but only if you're actually operating and have instructional days year-round. So otherwise, I would uncheck that and probably uncheck July and June. Okay. And then most of us are going to check Monday through Friday. If you are an RCCI with with residential students and you are actually operating on Saturdays and Sundays, then you can check those dates too. Your meal service times for lunch, you cannot serve lunch before 10:30, so don't put anything in here before 10:30 without approval from the state director. If you do get that approval, it'll be a good idea to also make a note so we can know that that exists. But the beginning time here, I don't know why it even allows me to put 1 a.m. That's just kind of crazy. We're going to go with 10:30. And my end time, we'll just say noon. And offer versus serve. Offer versus serve must be implemented for lunch if it's high school. So make sure if you're serving high school lunch that you say yes here. But my K-5 school doesn't have to, so I can say no. It's going to make me put something in this A3A text box, okay? So even though I said no, and even though it says if no, well, even if I said yes, it'll make me put something in there. So, but I said no. If no, what grades is OVS implemented? None. Okay. My menu planning method, there's only one, traditional food-based menu planning. And my counting procedure, you would just choose how you're counting meals. If you're CEP, you could, do just a checkoff sheet. And if that's what you're doing, I would just go and do other and do checkoff sheet or meal counting form or however you want to say that. And then we'll move on and we'll pretty much kind of do the same thing that we did for lunch here for breakfast. And I'm going to go ahead and choose all and just uncheck June and July. Days of the week, I'm going to do Monday through Friday. Breakfast has to be served in the morning during the morning hours. And so I'm just going to say it starts at 7. Usually our breakfasts are pretty short. 7 to 8 may even be too long, but I'm going to do 7 to 8. We don't have to do offer versus serve for any grades for breakfast. That's optional, but you're welcome to do it. But here I'm going to say no again and none for what grades are offer versus serve. My breakfast planning method, I only have one choice there. And now we want you to choose all of the breakfast models that you operate. Now you might do 2 or 3 of these and you can check all of them. So let's say, now universal breakfast doesn't really apply if it's CEP. That's if you would normally be free, reduced, and paid, but you're doing universal free breakfast. You could choose that. But I'm going to say here at this school, we're doing traditional, and we're going to do a second chance. And my counting procedure is going to be other, and I'm going to do a checkoff sheet. With my after school snacks, again, you're only checking the months that you're going to operate snack. Now, a lot of times snack doesn't even start. You may not start your after school snack program at various sites until, I don't know, October. So you wouldn't check all those months. You would just do October through, maybe it's just October through February. Okay. Maybe it's just Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I've seen that too, where the after school snack program doesn't operate 5 days a week. Now snacks need to start 30 minutes or needs to start after the school day is over. So if my school day ends at 2:30, I'm just going to go ahead and choose 3 p.m. School is over at 2:30. And maybe it goes until 5. Okay, so is this snack attendance area eligible based on this site? Is it attendance area eligible based on another site? Because remember, the site has to be in the attendance area of a school where 50% or more of the students receive free or reduced price meals. So you can do that, or is it non-area eligible? We're going to go ahead and do attendance area eligible based on another site, and then you would choose that. These sites populate based on the SFA where this site is located. So all the sites in the dropdown are their weekly county sites, I believe. So, and we're going to go ahead and say, and these percentages aren't available yet because we haven't finished the application packet. That's fine. You just choose one there. Or you could do attendance area eligible based on this particular site. Okay. Now, since this is a brand new site, it's really not attendance area eligible based on this site. If it's a brand new site, you're going to have to choose another site. And it doesn't even have to be another site in your SFA. Now, you have to consult with your consultant about that and find a site in the attendance area of this brand new site that meets that area eligible criteria, but you could do that. And you could put that in the notes in the site application. All right, that's the site application. We're all done there. We do have some comments you could add. And then, of course, you won't see that internal. Let's see how we did after we save it. Ooh, I had warnings. What's his warning me about? It might have been something about my meal. Oh, adult meal pricing. So it will save the site with a warning. It will save the site with a warning. It will not save it and allow you to move forward with an error. You have to correct that. But we can move forward with this. Okay, there you go. Now I'll open up Dresden Elementary. This is an existing site application. And just to show you what that looks like. And it imports all of this in from last year. So you can see here in the lunches claim for school, the number 5 there, that's your severe need reimbursement. So it shows that Dresden Elementary is qualified for the severe need reimbursement. And severe need breakfast is determined by site. It's not an SFA-wide determination. So it's site by site. You see here that they do have pre-K. If pre-K is included in the enrollment of that site, then you could check pre-K. Now it does leave the pricing information blank on one of these that imports from last school year. So you know, if you're an existing CEP site, or if you're even not a pricing site, you still have to complete this number 8. It does not import this in. So since Weekly County is going to continue to be CEP, we go ahead and put that in there. I'm going to go ahead and put just 0 for these, and it'll give me a warning, but I can put in the notes that adult meals are served a la carte. We're doing non-pricing. Okay. And then you see how it pulls in that community eligibility provision. Those numbers, it pulled those in from, remember, the very first thing that we did was the community eligibility provision site list that's outside of this packet. So you can see that it pulled those in, pulled them into the site application after I chose non-pricing CEP. All right. And then once I complete this site application, it will pull them into the community eligibility provision schedule, which will set your claiming percentages. So it's this kind of crazy order of operations that TMAC has. It's not very linear. So let's see, in section A, I still have to do my meal times, everything else imported. So we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and do 11, just 11 to noon. Make it easy. And let's see, section B, same. Just going to do 7 to 8, make it easy here. There. And everything else. And you can see that universal breakfast is checked. I mean, it's okay, but if you're CEP, you wouldn't necessarily have to check universal breakfast there. You would check that. Really, you would check that if you are a free and reduced paid, but you've decided to do universal free breakfast, and so everyone's free just for breakfast. And in that case, You still count all those breakfasts by free, reduced, and paid by eligibility, and you claim them by eligibility, but you are allowed to actually not charge anyone for the breakfast. So we'll scroll down here to snacks. I need a beginning time on snacks. I'm going to do 3 p.m. And I'm going to end at 5. And this one's attendance area eligible based on this particular site. And I believe it should be good. I'm going to save it. Oh, I have errors. Well, let's go back and modify that. I should have clicked edit. That's okay. I can go back. Oh, what did I messed up the after school snack beginning and end time. What did I do? Oh, see again, why does it even give me a choice of 5 a.m.? I wish it didn't. There we go. Should correct it. I don't know if anybody on the call remembers and used to watch Seinfeld. I used to watch Seinfeld, you know. There was this episode about the alarm clock and the marathon runner that didn't set the AM PM on the alarm clock and he missed the New York Marathon or something. So that AM PM will get you. So there you'll see that I did, you know, I didn't do site applications for all of them, but that's okay. And then we can go back. All right, so now let's look at the CEP schedule. I go and add for the CEP schedule. And the CEP schedule, I did that real fast. I should have slowed that down, but CEP schedule is kind of in the middle of the screen with your SFA application packet. You would go and add, and you'll see that I have 3 sites in here. And you'll see that it pulled information in for 2 of them. That's because I did site applications only for 2 of them. I put their data in the CEP site schedule or the CEP site list, but I only did site applications for 2 of them. Very important that you do those site applications before you do this, because that's where you choose, you know, non-pricing CEP, which opens up that area, takes what you put in the CEP site list, puts it in the site application, you save it, and then it puts it here where you see this in the CEP schedule. And if you have new sites that have zeros, I guess I could have left the weekly test site with zeros, and you know, you would just leave that as it is, right? But this is where you're going to actually put these in groups, and it'll establish your identified student percentage for various groups, because you could group your schools in different CEP groups. If you do that, remember, you're establishing, you could be establishing cycle years, right, for each group that you assign. And it's possible for you to have maybe 2 groups, but each one of those groups is somewhere different in their 4-year cycle. All right, so that's important to remember when you're doing multiple groups. You could also do each of your sites as an individual group, but then each of those sites has an individual ISP, and each site has its own 4-year cycle. So it's best if you can maybe keep it, if you're an SFA wide CEP, then it's probably best to just do 1 group. But that's what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to assign all of them to group 1. And then you'll see that it establishes their identified student percentage up here at the top. Okay. And the identified student percentage is 60. So 96% of all meals served, they claim at the free reimbursement rate. 4% of all meals served, they claim at the paid reimbursement rate, and there is no reduced. All right. So now if you're not a CEP school district, you can skip this part. And then once you've done your grouping for all of your schools, you would click save and finish. Okay, so good. I have a red arrow here, which I want. I have not submitted here with my SFA application, which I want. Meal pattern compliance dashboard is for brand new SFAs only. Brand new SFAs only. Talk to your consultant about that. And the next step now is to go ahead and now on that CEP schedule, let me modify on that. I believe on your end, there is a certification that you will have to certify on this. Okay, but it's not showing it for me as I'm not in here mirrored as the SFA. But anytime there's a certification box for that, and make sure you do that SFA certification. Okay, so the next thing is supporting documents. Now, the program agreement and local agriculture compliance plan is out and available. It's on our S&P Resources website, and it's ready for you to go in there and look at that. All right. So, and if we go here and do Google and S&P Resources, that form is going to be under waivers and startup documents, under documents, an agreement to administer school nutrition programs. So that's where you'll click there to download that. Make sure that that form is filled out in its entirety. There's no blank, no field left blank. And then back to the application packet. You're going to upload that. And if you're CEP, you're going to upload any reauthorization documents. If you're starting a brand new cycle, you're going to upload all of that in supporting documents. You click on your SFA. And then since you see here that Weakley County is CEP, 3 required forms or documents are populated here. If you're not CEP, you'll only show 2, local ag plan and program agreement. Okay, so for the local ag plan and program agreement, you'll make sure that you click the appropriate paperclip to upload the document. And it needs to be, I know the local ag plan and the program agreement are on one document, but it has to be uploaded in both places, okay? So you would do browse, find your file, and save it. Let's see. What if I go here, here, here? I'm going to do browse. And I'm going to do date modified. And I believe well, it didn't show it. Downloads. Right here. Okay. Save that. And I'm going to do it again. So local ag plan. Make sure you click document submitted. All right. Must do that. Document submitted. We're going to go to the program agreement. Of course, these are blank, but just so to show you that how this process works here. Now you have to click that. It's the very last thing. And then CEP reauthorization. So this CEP reauthorization, that's your documentation that you're starting a brand new cycle. If you're starting a new cycle. Otherwise, you won't have to upload anything for this. Even if you're CEP, but if you're starting a brand new 4-year cycle, you must give us documentation that includes enrollment or attendance and identified students as of the last operating day in March this year. Make sure you check the date on that it's the last operating day of March. It's got to be the same for all sites in the SFA. And that data in your documentation has to match what you provided that's in the CEP schedule, okay? The data needs to be from your benefit issuance documents or your roster in the student information system. Now, not all SFAs use the student information system or software, but an Excel or a similar spreadsheet or database report that you use to document your students' enrollment is acceptable. And then it needs to show that identified student data. You know, that we found this, we have this many identified students. So letters or copies of the USDA CEP calculator are not acceptable forms of documentation. And we don't want you to upload the entire DC list up in here. We just really need to see those students that are your identified students. So any groups that have a cycle year that coincides with the current school year, meaning that 23-24 will be your first year, the 4-year cycle, you have to upload this documentation. Groups with a cycle year from a previous school year, meaning that school year 23-24 will be year 2, 3, or 4 in your CEP cycle. You're not starting a new one. Your documentation will be in a previous SFA application packet. You're not required to upload anything new into this one. Now, supporting documentation must be uploaded for any brand. If you have any brand new sites, then you really are starting a new cycle because you've changed your enrollment. So I'm going to go ahead and just put something in there just so it'll show me check marks for everything. And I'm going to do that agreement again. Save that and finish. Now my documents have been submitted. I've got everything, all 3 of them there. If I'm CEP, I've got my program agreement, local ag plan if I'm not CEP. And I save, I finish, scroll down and hit the back button. Okay. Well, lo and behold, magically, the submit for approval button is lit up and I can submit this application packet for approval. Okay, which is great. That's what you want. Again, the meal compliance dashboard is for new SFA onlys, new SFAs only. And if you're using a food service management company, you'll also have another line in here, right around in here that'll say FSMC contracts. All right, and that only applies to those that would have an SFA, a FSMC contract, or contract specialist would be entering information there. So that's the packet. That is the SFA application packet. I can submit it for approval. Okay. There you go. It's ready for your consultant to review. If they can approve it as is, great. If there's more information that they need from it or any revisions, then they'll let you know. So I'm going to go back to my presentation. There's a couple of things I want to touch on. Now, CEP election. Let's talk about this for CEP SFAs. You have to notify the state agency of your intent to elect CEP no later than June 30th. And we're going to be pretty strict on that, which means that this SFA application packet must be complete with your any documentation that you need to upload. If you're starting a new cycle, you would need to actually submit the packet by June 30th. Okay. There is no waiver for CEP election this year. Previous years we've gone out to August or September, but there's a very strict June 30th CEP election requirement this year, which means that all these things that you see here that you need to do in the packet for a CEP district must be done, and then the packet submitted by June 30th. Doesn't mean it has to be approved by June 30th, must be submitted. And this, I had this up in case our program agreement wasn't ready, but it is. We have, and it's just awesome. I think that we have our program agreement ready to send for you guys to go and download. We have the SFA application packet ready for you to go and input data. I mean, we're ready to go, and we're ready to get these done for you. One word about the seamless summer option. If you're ready to get your seamless summer option site applications, go ahead and get those done. We're ready to get those reviewed and approved as well. And I have a survey. I'm going to leave that up just for a minute. And while you're taking your smartphones out and taking a picture of that, and I really appreciate it if you would. I want to thank you for attending today. I know it's been kind of a long one. We're coming up on almost an hour for this, but there's a lot of information for our application packets. So there's your survey. I'm going to go ahead and move my slide on over to my contact information. So if you have any questions about these, you can contact me or your regional consultant. And I guess we have a few minutes.
The link to the survey will be in the follow-up email. I don't think that has an updated certificate, so I'm not going to put it in the chat, but it will be updated when I send out the follow-up email.
Oh, great.
So I just wanted to let everyone know that. And then we did have some questions. I don't know if you want to read those and address them out of the chat, or if you would like me to read them.
Let's see.
Good, either way. You answered some of them afterwards, but it probably wouldn't hurt to just touch on them.
Okay, let me go back to Teams.
And I can read them if you want me to. I don't mind.
Yeah, if you don't mind. And
okay.
Yeah.
No problem. The last day we were in school in March was the 23rd. I would use that day for enrollment, correct?
Correct. Last operating day of March.
When is the last day to fill out the CEP schedule?
So all of that information has to be in there and submitted for approval no later than June 30th.
Some of these they were thinking ahead of you.
Okay. Well, that's good. I like it.
But I just wanted to go ahead and reiterate those since they were questions that came in. What if I'm not certain on serving times for next year yet? Should I wait on completing the application until these times are set?
It's up to you. But if you're CEP, again, if you're CEP, guess and make sure you submit everything by June 30th. And then once you know, you are more than welcome to go in and revise your site applications, right? And if we need to return it to you, we can. We just want a timestamp on that sucker saying it was submitted by June 30th. If you submitted it to me at noon on June 30th, and then you said, oh, whoops, I forgot, or I want to revise my meal times, I'll return it to you the same day. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. But you will have to ask me or your consultant to return it to you in order for you to make revisions. But we can do that. We can return it to you anytime after you submit it, and you can go in there and make them. And if we approve it with the times with your guesstimated times, then once you know what those exact times are, you can go ahead and go in there and revise it and resubmit with exact times.
We have a daycare at one of our schools. On the application, should we mark it as Head Start or early education? We are a CEP school, but we have to charge those children because they are not enrolled.
So those wouldn't be in your SFA application packet. When you're checking the grades that you serve, it's only those grades or Head Start or whatever that you actually count as enrollment and meals that you would be claiming for reimbursement.
And then the next one is a pretty big question, but it is, what is the process for starting universal breakfast? So I don't know if you want to do a little bit of that, and we can maybe follow up offline.
There's not a request form. You don't have to do a formal request for that necessarily. I think what you need to know is how it works and what you're getting into. and whether or not it's financially viable for you. So that's something you need to talk with your consultant about. Because remember, you can do universal free breakfast. It's okay to do that, but you have to count those students by their eligibility status, and you're also going to be reimbursed by their eligibility status. So even though all of those students eat breakfast for free, your every meal is not claimed at the free reimbursement rate for universal free breakfast. Now, not to be confused with CEP or community eligibility provision, right? Where yes, you're serving all those meals for free, and then there's a percentage of them maybe that you get to claim at the free reimbursement rate. You know, so if you have 100 students and 50 of them are free and 20 of them are reduced and 30 of them are paid and they all ate, then you're going to claim 50 free, 20 reduced, 30 paid, even though they all ate for free.
And then we have one last question. I know we're over time, but we'll go ahead and take it. And then any others you can follow up with Mike and or your own consultant. With enrollment numbers, do we use daily average attendance or total enrolled numbers?
Total enrolled, and I recommend you use a strict attendance.
Sorry, there's a little bit more of that.
Okay.
So it says we have a couple of high schools that have students who work off campus and have lunch there.
They do have lunch. Oh, they have lunch off campus?
That's what it says.
They're still your enrollment. If they're counted as attending, then they're counted. It's not average. Even if they're part of a work study program, but you would just have to figure out if they're actually counted as attending on the days that they do work study. But if they're counted as attending on the days they do their work study program, then that's part of your attendance, and they would be included.
All right, I said that was going to be the last one, but we did get one more, and that is about legislation that exists for decreasing the percentage for your ISP and whether that will be allowed to be used this year. And I will say that it looks like what was sent was a bill. I know there's also a proposed rule, but I don't expect any of that to be finalized or available prior to June 30th. And if there is some type of flexibility associated with that, it would come out after they've said what that final rule in that legislation is. So I would just carry on, if I were you, with the rules as we know it and the June 30th cutoff.
I agree.
That is all the questions that we have at the moment. And like I said, we are over time. Thank you very much, Mike, for presenting today. Like I said, the evaluation will be in the follow-up email, and we will be back same place and same time next week, and I will be talking about implementing rural non-congregate feeding for seamless summer for the summer. So encourage everyone to attend, even if you at first were not considered rural, because we have gotten some flexibilities since then. So with that, I'll hope everyone has a great day, and we will see y'all next week. Thanks again, Mike.
You're welcome. Bye, everybody.